else to do. If I had plans, too bad. If I was busy, I could make time. My entire existence had revolved around Nellie's demands and exigencies. The repeated demands progressively wore me down, similar to how water erodes stone. Every time I attempted to set even the smallest boundary, she found a way to make me feel bad. "We're family," she'd explain. "Family helps each other out." However, this assistance only went in one direction. Nellie was conveniently too busy to pay me a visit when I was in the hospital for pneumonia last winter. She texted me 3 days after I was discharged, asking if I could watch the kids that weekend, since she had concert tickets. I've put up with it for years. She then became engaged to Jason, a wealthy real estate developer who seemed to cater to her every need. When she called to tell me of their engagement, she spent 45 minutes explaining the proposal, the ring, 3.2 carats, cushion cut with a diamond band, and their plans for a destination wedding in the Bahamas. She never asked how I was doing or mentioned the promotion I had emailed her about the previous week. I'd already realized that I would likely be asked to do a million things for her wedding. She'd want me to help with planning, go dress shopping, run errands, and of course, watch the kids as needed. I made a secret agreement with myself to be supportive within reason. After all, it was a special day, and I wanted to be there for her, regardless of our convoluted relationship. I was prepared for it all. What I wasn't expecting was the bachelorette party situation. One day I was surfing through Instagram when I came across a post by one of our mutual acquaintances. It was a countdown to Nellie's bachelorette trip, with a big group of women celebrating and chatting about how delighted they were. I looked at my screen, puzzled. I had not heard anything about this excursion. I assumed it was simply being arranged and that I'd find out about it soon. A couple days have gone by. No invitation. There is no mention of it. So I decided to ask. "You're welcome." "Hey, are you doing a bachelorette trip, Nellie?" Nellie says, "Oh yeah. It's just going to be a small group. Only my closest friends." Closest buddies. I was her sole cousin. My reply, "Oh. I just assumed I'd be invited." Nellie's reaction. "I didn't think you'd be into it. We're having a fun girls' weekend. I didn't want you to feel out of place." Out of place? What exactly did that mean? She must have noticed the expression on my face because she immediately added, "You know, it's nothing personal. I just want a certain vibe, you know?" I nodded, seeming to understand, but inwardly I was crushed. I didn't want to beg to go on her trip. But she didn't even contemplate inviting me? That stung. We'd grown up together. We spent summers at our grandparents' lake cottage. Secrets were shared under blanket forts. I was there when she experienced her first heartbreak at 16. And I assisted her in studying for her college entrance tests when no one else would. The exclusion seemed purposeful. Calculated even. I later learned from our common friend Jess that Nellie had informed everyone that I was too stressed out and would ruin the weekend. Apparently, not drinking too much and preferring quiet chats over clubbing rendered me inappropriate for her special bachelorette celebration. It was just another reminder that Nellie only regarded me when I helped her. I choked it down and convinced myself it was no big deal. She could have a party. I was not going to make a scene over it. I thought that was the end of it. On the surface, I remained composed. But something within me had moved. A quiet voice that had been murmuring for years was now becoming louder. Enough is enough. I was mistaken. Nellie called me 2 days before our vacation. She never calls unless she needs something. I picked up, anticipating where this was headed. Nellie's reaction. "Hey, so I have a huge favor to ask." I remained silent, waiting. "Nellie, please. I need you to watch the kids this weekend. Our sitter just canceled, and I'm completely stuck." I nearly laughed. She excluded me from her trip because it was exclusively for close pals. But now she expects me to drop everything and babysit. So she could leave, so I let her continue talking. "Nellie, please. It would help me so much. You know how hard it is to find a sitter at the last minute. And I know you love spending time with them." There it was. The guilt trip. I was about to answer no when a thought occurred to me. Instead of responding, I told her I would get back to her later. She appeared relieved. Nellie responded, "Thanks, cuz. I knew I could count on you." I hung up without promising anything. After we had disconnected, I sat at my kitchen table staring at the wall. My hands were slightly trembling. Partly from anger. partly from the unusual sensation of standing at a crossroads. For over 3 decades I had been conditioned to say yes to Nellie, to put her wants before mine. My therapist's comments rang in my mind. What would happen if you put yourself first even once? That's when the idea struck me. I earned a break too. Why not treat myself to something special? My finger hesitated over my phone for a brief minute before I made the decision. Then I went online and booked a last-minute trip to Oceana Beach Resort, a destination I'd wanted to visit for years. The confirmation email arrived with a pleasant ping. $1,274.86 for 3 nights in an ocean view accommodation, with breakfast, and 1 spa treatment. It was more than I would normally spend on myself, but the feeling of release was well worth it. I spent the evening packing, carefully selecting comfortable attire, and included my new swimwear, which still had the tags on. I added my Kindle, which was loaded with 3 novels I'd been intending to read for months, as well as a journal that I'd never used. This weekend would be entirely for me. No responsibilities, no guilt, and no Nellie. Nellie contacted again the night before her scheduled departure. I saw her name flash across my phone's screen and felt the familiar flutter of anxiousness that always accompanied her calls. I took a deep, steady breath before responding. Nellie. So, we're good for tomorrow? I took a big breath and spoke casually. My response: Oh, I forgot to text you. I actually booked a trip for myself this weekend. I won't be around to babysit. Silence. Nellie, please explain. Wait, what do you mean you booked a trip? You never go anywhere. I disregarded the jab. You say, yeah, I figured it was time to do something fun for myself. Hope you figure things out. She began sputtering. Nellie says, but wait, what? You can't just leave. What am I supposed to do with the kids? I replied, not sure. Maybe ask one of your close friends. She gasped as if I'd slapped her. Nellie's response, oh my God, you're being so petty right now. I shrugged. I responded, not trying to be. Just prioritizing myself. Like you did. Before she could say anything else, I told her I needed to leave. I then switched off my phone's notifications, packed my bags, and went to bed. The next morning, I awoke early, gathered my belongings, and departed. I was on the beach, drinking in hand, listening to the waves, when my phone started erupting with missed calls, voicemails, and angry texts. First one, Sarah. Where are you? I'm at your house. The next, Nellie. You said you'd help me. Then my mother called. I let it go to voicemail. She called again. And again. Finally, I responded. Mama. Nellie is outside your house with the kids. What is going on? I took a sip from my drink. My response? I told her I wouldn't be home. I have my own plans this weekend. She responded. Wait, so she expected you to babysit? You responded. Yep. Without even asking me first. Silence. Then, Mom. I see. She did not yell at me. She did not tell me that I was being selfish. For the first time she sounded bored of Nellie's antics. Now I'm sitting by the ocean, enjoying the sunset, and my phone continues buzzing on the table. Nellie is still outside my house, enraged and contacting me non-stop. I'm debating whether I should respond. Maybe when I have finished my drink. I sat there, watching the waves come in and feeling the warm breeze on my cheeks. The sound of the surf blocked out my phone's buzzing, but I could still see alerts stacking up. Nellie was not giving up. After a few minutes of stillness, my phone rang again. But this time, it wasn't Nellie. It was my father. My father never calls unless something terrible is happening. I exhaled, picked up, and braced myself. Dad asks, "Where are you?" His speech was calm, but I could hear a sharp edge in his tone. "This is me. At the beach. Taking a break. Your dad. Nellie is crying in front of your house with the kids. She's saying you abandoned them." I closed my eyes and breathed slowly. My response: "I didn't abandon anyone. I never agreed to babysit." Dad replied, "You know she had plans this weekend. She needed your help." There it was. The customary speech. The expectation that I would always step up, regardless of the situation. My reaction: She uninvited me from her trip. She didn't think I was close enough to be there. But I was close enough to be her free babysitter. Not this time. Dad remained silent for a moment. Dad said, "I understand that you're upset, but family takes care of each other." I gave a quick laugh. "You're asking, does Nellie take care of me? Has she ever? Or am I just expected to drop everything for her whenever she wants?" More silence. Then I encountered something unexpected. My dad. "Your mother and I are on our way to get the kids." I sat up straight in my chair. My response was, "Wait, you're going to Nellie's house?" My father. "No. Your house. She left the kids there and she left." I felt a slow, creeping rage rising in my chest. Nellie had actually left her children outside my house, hoping that someone, anyone, would look after them. She had not found another babysitter. She had not made alternative plans. She had simply dumped them there and left. I tightened my teeth and took another sip from my drink. My response: "How long ago?" My dad. "About 20 minutes. Your mother and I are already halfway there." I breathed sharply. She truly believed I'd cave, that I'd rush home in a panic and accept responsibility as I always did. Not this time. I say, "Good. Let me know when you have them." Then I hung up. I looked out at the sea, trying to calm myself down. I felt awful for the children. They did not deserve this. They had no notion their mother was using them as pawns in some bizarre guilt trip. I pondered phoning Nellie, but I knew exactly what she'd say. She would play the victim. She'd turn things around on me. She would tell everyone that I was the cruel, selfish cousin who forced her to abandon her children on a doorstep because she had no other option. It was not worth it. 15 minutes later my father texted, "Dad. We have them." I let out a breath that I had not realized I was holding. Then another SMS came through. "Father. We're taking them to our house. Your mother is furious." That made me pause. Was Mom furious? That was new. My mother had always made excuses for Nellie and found ways to smooth things over. But something about this drove her too far. Before I could think too much about it, another message arrived. This time from Nellie. Nellie's reaction: "How could you call Mom and Dad on me?" So I was the problem. I rolled my eyes and continued reading. Nellie's reaction: "You know I had nowhere else to bring them. What else was I supposed to do? Nellie, you're seriously making this a huge deal over a trip. Nellie, you're petty and selfish." Then the final message. Nellie, you're dead to me." I stared at the screen for a second before locking my phone and putting it away. I wasn't going to let her ruin the weekend. But I had a sense it wasn't done yet. I ignored Nellie's angry texts as I sat back in my lounge chair. The sun was setting over the ocean, transforming everything into vivid tones of gold and orange. The waves were steady, rhythmic, and pleasant. I should have relaxed, but something was bothering me. Nellie was not the sort to simply let things go. She was always skilled at deflecting responsibility and twisting circumstances in her favor. And this was the type of thing she would hold on to for years. I sighed, took a slow sip of my drink, and picked up my phone again. 42 unread messages. Nellie contributed the majority of this, some from my mother. I started by skimming Mom's most recent texts. Mom responded, "We have the kids." Mother. "Nellie isn't answering our calls." Your mother. "Call me when you can." I frowned. Nellie was not responding to them. She was messaging me constantly but ignoring them. That did not make sense. I hesitated before clicking on her name. The texts were just how I expected. Nellie's response: "I hope you're happy. You ruined everything." Nellie's response: "You're so bitter it's disgusting." Nellie's response: "You embarrassed me in front of everyone." Nellie's response: "I hope you're enjoying yourself while I'm falling apart." Nothing new. Just the normal guilt trip. I was about to put my phone aside again when a fresh message appeared. Nellie's response: "I told my friends what you did. They all agree you're an awful cousin. No wonder you don't have many close friends." I breathed sharply. There it was. I'd spent my entire life as the responsible one. The one who could be relied on. The good cousin. Nellie was used to me having to be the bigger person. But now that I wasn't falling over backwards for her, she wanted to portray me as the villain. I locked my phone and put it away again. Allow her to tell her version. I didn't care. At least I assumed I didn't. My phone buzzed again about an hour later, right as I was finishing supper at the resort's open-air restaurant. I sighed, expecting more furious texts. But it was not Nellie, it was my neighbor. Your neighbor. Hey, are you home? There's someone banging on your front door. My stomach sank. I responded fast. Me. Who is it? Your neighbor. I think it's Nellie. She's yelling your name. Of course she was. I clenched my jaw. Nellie must have recognized that our parents were not going to cave like they normally did, and she was now at my house, most likely ready to scream at me in person. My response: I'm out of town. My neighbor says, yeah, she's not happy about that. What do you want me to do? I took a slow breath. Me. Ignore her. Neighbor. She's waking up the whole street. I massaged my temples. This was not usual. Nellie was dramatic, yes. But this was something else. What was she trying to accomplish? Create a scene? Want me to run home? Because if that was her plan, it wouldn't work. 15 minutes later, another SMS appeared. This time from my father. Your dad. Nellie just showed up at our house. She's demanding the kids back. I frowned. That did not make sense. She left them there. She walked away. She disregarded their calls, and now she wants them returned? Then another text. Father. Something's off. She's acting strange. That wasn't what I expected. Nellie was many things, but she was not irresponsible with her children. She was entitled. She was manipulative. However, she was calculated. If she left them behind, it was to make a point. But now she was retreating. Something wasn't right. My phone buzzed again, indicating another message from my neighbor. The neighbor explained. So Nellie left, but a guy came looking for her like 5 minutes later. My stomach turned. Me. What guy? Your neighbor said, tall, kinda rough looking. He knocked a couple of times, looked around, then left. I gazed at my phone, my pulse quickening. Nellie did not date guys like that. She exclusively surrounded herself with those who could help her in some way. Who was this guy, and why was he searching for her? I went back up to Nellie's last message. Nellie's response. I hope you're enjoying yourself while I'm falling apart. I had assumed she was simply being dramatic, but now I'm not so sure. I couldn't get over the feeling that something was wrong. Nellie was known for her erratic nature, but this was something different. She had gone from angry to desperate in a couple of hours. First she abandoned her children. Then she wanted them back. Then some strange guy showed up at my place looking for her. It did not add up. I tried to ignore it and enjoy my weekend, but my stomach kept telling me I couldn't. So I did something I hadn't done in years. I called Nellie. She didn't respond. I tried again. Voicemail. I stared at my phone, pondering. Then I called my father. He answered promptly. Father. She just left me. My response. What happened? He sighs. She showed up out of nowhere demanding the kids back. Your mother told her no until she explained what was going on. Nellie lost it, yelling, crying, saying we were all against her. I replied. Did she say why she left them in the first place? Dad replied. Not really. But she kept saying she had to fix something before it was too late. My fingers curled around the phone. My response. Did she say what she needed to fix? He replied. No. And she wouldn't let me call the police either. She said she had it under control. That did not sound like Nellie. Nellie always made sure that everyone perceived her as the victim. She would use any reason to involve the authorities, indicating that she was afraid. I checked the time. It was late, but I had a nasty feeling this wouldn't end. And I was correct. At around 2 a.m., I was awakened by the sound of my phone buzzing noisily on the nightstand. A call from my mother. I responded promptly. My response. What's wrong? Your mother. Nellie's at our house again, and so is that man. I bolted out of bed. I responded. What? He followed her there? Mama. Yes. They're arguing outside. My response. Call the police. Mother. Your father already did, but Nellie keeps telling us not to. I was already putting on my clothing. I ran to check out of the resort, clutching my purse. My response, I'm coming home. She replied, what? No, don't. But I'd already hung up. Nellie had dragged our entire family into whatever mess she was in, and I needed to witness it myself. When I arrived at our parents' house, there were already 2 police cars outside. Nellie was on the front porch, crying uncontrollably. I got a good look at the man, who was pacing on the sidewalk and shouting at her. He was tall, rough-looking, and angry. I did not recognize him. Nellie didn't date men like that. One of the officers stood between them, attempting to defuse the tension. I parked and stepped out, my heart pounding in my chest. Mom noticed me immediately and rushed over. Mom, I told you not to come, I said, too late. I looked at Nellie and then at the man. My response, who is that? Mom shakes her head. Mom. We don't know. I turned to Nellie. My response, Nellie, who is that? Nellie refused to look at me. Instead, the man turned to face me. Guy. Oh, you're the cousin. The one who left her high and dry. I took a step back, caught off guard. Me. Excuse me? Man. Mocking voice. I need a weekend for myself. I don't have time to help my own cousin. My blood became chilly. My response, Nellie, did you tell him about me? Nellie would still not look at me. The man laughed. He responded, of course she did. She blamed you. Said you were the reason she was stuck in this mess. I clenched my jaw. Me. What a mess. Man. The money. I felt as if the ground had been pulled out from beneath me. Me. What money? The man scoffed. He replied, the $10,000 she owes me. My heart has stopped. I turned to Nellie. My response, tell me he's lying. Nellie eventually looked up. Her face was pallid. Her eyes are bloodshot. Nellie whispered, I needed the money for the wedding. I stared at her. I responded, you borrowed money from him? Why? She wiped her face and shook her head. Nellie replied, I thought I could pay it back before he came looking. The man laughed again. He replied, yeah, well, you thought wrong. I turned around to face him. I said, so you're a loan shark? Man responded, I prefer businessmen. I breathed sharply. You're right. And you thought what? Coming here and making a scene would get your money faster. He shrugged. The man. She wasn't answering my calls. She ran out of excuses. So here we are. I looked at Nellie again. My response. Is this why you left the kids at my house? Nellie shielded her face. Nellie mumbles, I didn't want them to be around if things got bad. I closed my eyes. She had used me. She had tried to persuade me to watch her kids so she could deal with a loan shark in private. When I refused, she departed anyway. She had put all of us at risk because she refused to accept responsibility for her own actions. I was finished. Following the statement taking, the cops escorted the man away. Nellie attempted to apologize to our parents, but they were not having it. He said, you put your kids in danger, Nellie. You put all of us in danger. Your mother replied, and you tried to blame your cousin for your mistake. Nellie kept sobbing, claiming she didn't know what else to do. I stood there silently. I didn't feel anything. I wasn't angry anymore. I was not even surprised. I was just exhausted. My response, figure it out, Nellie. She gazed up at me with wide eyes. Nellie, are you saying, you're just going to walk away? Me. Yes. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel compelled to repair things for her. She had caused this catastrophe. She'd need to clean it up. I turned, walked back to my car, and drove off. Nellie and I did not speak for weeks. The silence between us extended like a strange but not unpleasant vastness. I found myself sleeping better, concentrating more at work, and even rekindling old friendships that I'd let slide away, because Nellie's needs had always taken precedence. My therapist noticed a difference in my manner almost immediately. You're sitting differently, she commented throughout our session. Your shoulders aren't up around your ears anymore. I later learned from our cousin Jaime that my parents pushed Nellie to sell some